Hello, this is Father Simeon, and today I want to ask a question. It's a question for all of us to ask ourselves at St. Raphael Orthodox Church, and that is, why should parents bring their kids to St. Raphael Orthodox Church? What's the point? And that's good for us to ask ourselves, those of us who are parents. It's good for everyone in the congregation to know that. And it's also important because we should be asking or inviting other parents who have children so that they can come too. So here's the first thing. The Orthodox Church is the way of life that allows our kids to learn how to live the way of life that was shown to us by our Creator, the one who made them. He has revealed how to live, and that is what we show them. And it's not rooted in humans trying to figure out something or making speculative philosophies or mythologies about why the world is and who we are as human beings or who God is. Real theology comes from the experience of God. That's why the saints speak true theology. That's where the theology in the Bible comes from, those who knew God and experienced God. And it is not constructed by us, right? It is revealed to us. It is revealed to the church. And as adults, we have to conform to that life of the church in order to understand true theology, following closely those who have experienced it on that path to us experiencing it deeply ourselves. And the Orthodox way promotes good spiritual health, a pure heart, a wise mindset, a continually maturing lifestyle. And all of that is done in a nurturing and supportive communion, right? So that we all are seeking this change by the grace of God together. And as parents, most of us will do a lot to make sure our kids eat healthy food, have good health in the body. How much more should we work on making sure that they have that spiritual nurturing for the soul, right? We want them to be healthy and we want them to be wise. We want them to live the best life possible, and we do that together. And in a society with so many opportunities for bad decisions, right, for internal self-harm through sin, going the wrong way, unhealthy relationships, right, with friends that have a misunderstanding of who God is and how we should live, and destructive ideological paths. There's so many different ways out there. And we want to train our kids to live the way of God. And our kids are growing up in a world where different ideologies are competing to influence them, even in school, right? And throughout history, ideologies rise up and they fade away and they're replaced by something else. But the Orthodox Church was planted on earth by the God-man, Jesus Christ, upon the foundation of his apostles 2,000 years ago. And our parish in Iowa City is one of the earliest local churches. We are part of the Church of Antioch. We are part of the stream, not only of the Orthodox Church going back to Pentecost, but the great city of God, Antioch, the church there, the one that went out and sent Paul on the missionary journey, where we see this change and broadening of the Christian mission, where Christians are first called Christians. We're part of that. And we want our kids to know who they are as Orthodox Christians and as part of an Antiochian community, no matter where you're from in the world, your ancestry, or where you came from. Here in this parish, you are part of the Orthodox Church and the Church of Antioch, and that great history that we find in the Bible. So our kids should know that. And we are going to teach our kids the best we can, everybody's kids who will come, about the way of Christ, passed down generation to generation with the apostles, so that they can fulfill their full potential. And they can do everything that they can do. They can be everything they can be in Christ, in this world, in this time and place. We owe it to them to do that. So we're going to bring our kids for that reason. And also, kids have questions. young kids have insightful questions and better questions than adults do sometimes that go deep to the soul. And kids deserve the truth. They deserve the truth when the truth is clear. They deserve a clear answer and not opinionated guesses, right? If the answer to that is an answer that is in the realm of mystery, then we can at least guide them on that path of the purification of the heart where they can come to an understanding of that mystery. But they deserve a lot more than just a guess. Kids ask these questions, and we want to give them competent and correct answers, right? And we need more than looking something up on YouTube, right? We want them to come to the church, and we want them not just to go to church, but be the church and to learn how to be the church. And it's in being the church, integrated fully in the community and worshiping and learning how to worship, right? And learning what it means to do the ministry of the church and live as a Christian daily. By doing that, they are being formed, not only in the mind and in their behavior, they're being formed in their heart by God's grace. So we want to give them the right answers, and we want to point them on the path. We want to guide them along the path that we should be walking ourselves toward deeper answers that are meant for the heart. Also, our kids are part of the story. I mean, we all have a story, and that story can be from our birth. That story can be through our family history, but there's more than that. Our story as Orthodox Christians, it goes back to Christ and his apostles. But more than that, it goes back to the creation of the universe, right? And our story is the story of humanity. So they need to know not only the story of humanity as it has been revealed to man by God, but they need to know that they can be heroes in that story. And we do that by joining Jesus Christ, by becoming part of the story of the church, and knowing, if we are part of the story of the church, knowing what that story is. It's the story of God coming to heal humanity, transfiguring humanity so that we can be all that we can be. And as the church, our job is to take the grace of God and the love of God and the power of God out into the world. We don't hide behind these walls, right? We do go and tell and come and see. We tell people, as many people as we can, to come and see who Christ is, and we go and we tell them. And we want our children to be bold, right? The world is going to be bold, and we should be 10 times bolder and wiser about telling people who Jesus Christ is. And knowing this story about how we fell into death and into sin, and how Christ has come to save us in the ministry of the church, and knowing the path of the saints, that is what our job is in the church, in part, is to train our children, right? Not just to educate the mind. We're telling them Bible stories, not just so they know Bible stories, not just so they live, this moral life of doing good things. It's more than that. They are part of this story, and they can live according to the power of God and be part of that story in this time, and walking that path toward shining with God's radiance. Also, kids learn this path by experience. And the only way that we can teach them is by bringing them to the church and allowing them to live fully the mystical ascetical life of the church as much as they can. And they learn by watching, by listening, by singing, by smelling the incense, touching the candles, eating the food, praying from their heart right alongside the adults. And children really have this spiritual insight sometimes, and knowledge. Sometimes they worship the best. We need to watch the kids sometimes to see how to worship with a pure heart. And when families come together, it brings unity to the family. And they get to see leadership in the family. This is how boys learn how to be men, and women teach girls how to be women, right? And how we all learn how to be Christians. It is done by just living the life of faith. And we want to be able to teach them by example, right? The church is not just a place where people come and do meaningful religious rituals. It's not on the psychological, emotional, and behavioral level. In the Orthodox Church, we actually participate in the never ceasing worship of heaven. And when we bring our kids into the church, that's where they belong. Their citizenship is in heaven alongside ours. And they deserve to be here worshiping with the angels, right? If we bring them into the church, then they are citizens of the heavenly kingdom. And we better be bringing them in order to receive the heavenly food because they're children of heaven. We have to do that. And God wants everyone, all children in Iowa City, to be part of his heavenly kingdom, to grow up knowing what it means to grow up in grace and to experience heaven on earth. And we want to bring as many parents as children as we can into this life. Also, when parents bring their kids, it means parents are here too. So kids should bring their parents and parents should bring their kids so that they come, and we all need Christ and his church. This is the place of salvation. And parents need to experience God's help with their marriages and with being parents, and to learn how to love with God's love. And families need to be oriented together on this spiritual path as much as possible, if everyone is willing to participate. And we all want to do that as much as we can. And we want to invite all families to come, and not just children. I want to see this place full of children, but I don't want to see them dropped off by their parents. I want their parents here, because parents, the only way that parents can fulfill fully their being human as they are to be is by grace. The only way we can experience marriage as it is meant to be is by grace. The only way we can be a family, the way we can be fully, is by God's grace. That will take us, no matter how good things are, to levels beyond what we can understand if we stay on that path, if we all deeply dive into the spiritual life together. So from the time that you walk in that door with a sincere desire to learn the spiritual way of life, you begin your training of the spiritual life, right? And first, just by showing up and paying attention. And that's true of adults, and that's also true of children. And we want to bring as many people into that door for the first time as we possibly can. And those of us who are Orthodox Christians, we want to be the best parents we can. And the good news is, wherever we are, that's okay. The question is, from here on, what are we going to do? How are we going to live the spiritual life better from today onward? So this is not about feeling guilty or despairing if we haven't done the best we can, but let's just keep striving to do the best. And if we fall, we get up, right? And that's what parenting and marriage is like, right? There's a lot of trial and error, and there has to be with it a lot of grace and a lot of forgiveness as we go forward. So let us bring our children into the depth of the spiritual life of the church. Sunday is part of that, but we're not Sunday Christians as Orthodox Christians, right? We have to live the faith as families, and our children have to understand that Orthodox Christianity, showing up on Sunday, is important. That's part of that. But that being an Orthodox Christian is something that we have to do 7 days a week. How do we do that? Come to church, and we'll be learning all of that together. And let's bring as many people with us as we can. God bless you.